What do you do when you realize the space god you work for is a ruthless, unrelenting force of nature? You kill his kid. Thanks for tuning in to Nerdy for 30, everybody, the show where we talk about nerdy-ish things for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer, and with me, as always, is my faithful co-host, Tim Keck. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well, Kevin. But aren't they the kids? And they're killing other kids? There's just like a lot of kid killing.
The kids.
They're kids.
Hey, it's babies killing babies out here.
And I'm here for it.
Tim's all about it. But it's not just about what Tim thinks today, because we got a special guest joining us. He's one of our favorite people. You've heard him many times before on this show. He's a fellow devout worshiper at the One Holy Apostolic Church of Marvel. It's Spencer Pazer.
Yes, hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm well rested. I dreamt about it.
Did you really? What did you dream about this movie?
Well, actually, I dreamt Marvel adjacent. I dreamt about a new Spider-Man trailer, actually.
Oh, my God. The man who hopes they don't drop another one is out here.
I really hope they don't.
Dreaming about it.
I had a dream about it where they're like, it's like Tom Holland walking down a hallway in like a new spider suit. And then on either side of the hallway, eventually, like Andrew and Toby join and they like all like getting ready at the same time, like putting their web shooters on and like putting their hoods up, like walking down like some slow pullback while we're walking down the hallway, like they're ready to go do something. And then they run into another dimension of the three of them. It was bizarre.
I'd take it. Just the astronaut shot.
It's funny. I think we all really liked this movie, and yet I think we're all also just dreaming about when Spider-Man comes out.
It's funny you say that, because last night I came back and I was talking to Lauren about it, and I was like, look, it's not that I'm not excited for Spider-Man. I'm very excited for this new Spider-Man movie, but in general, I'm so much more excited for this like slice of the pie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that Shang-Chi and Eternals represents than any more superhero stuff. Like if you look at the Phase 4 stuff, Black Widow, get rid of it.
Yeah,
we didn't need to do that stuff anymore. Let's move on to the interesting shit like Shang-Chi and Eternals. This is so cool.
I know. The Black Widow movie came 5 years too late. Like she should have had a movie in phase like 2.
Absolutely.
I'd argue she probably shouldn't have ever had a movie.
Oh, come on.
She should have had a movie.
It's just tonally, it's too far back from where we're at now. This is the cool shit. This is the interesting stuff.
Scarlett Johansson might deserve a movie, but that character did not deserve a movie. Okay, that's my stance on the Black Widow thing. She's pretty two-dimensional, pretty one-dimensional character that they attempted to pretend had more dimensions with a movie, as opposed to like these other movies that we're getting now that seem to be like very fleshed out, very like complicated characters. It seems like Eternals, to bring it back to the movie we're talking about. Eternals is like about family, basically. Whether or not they're all children of the same god is, I guess, a question me and Kevin can argue about. But they hate each other and also love each other and don't want to hurt each other, but also have to hurt each other. It's super complicated. It's a super complicated relationship that I don't think we're really getting in earlier Marvel stuff.
I found that the larger plot of the movie was so much about internal conflict and like the origins of the universe and the origins of like life and like how, and a lot of it was to me like, oh, what's the lesser evil? Like how do we choose the lesser of two evils here? Because they were watching like people destroy themselves through the ages, but then they learn that everyone's going to die anyways to supposedly create more life. It's like neither option really is good, because you're letting people live. They're still killing each other. The other one, you're killing everybody, but supposedly you're creating billions of lives in the aftermath. And it's like, it's sort of a microcosm of like the greater design or existence of the universe as a whole, like without the Celestials. Like the Celestials are a good placeholder for like the idea of what's going on in the universe. But it was interesting to see like that idea explored in the movie, like how fragile that line is between what's the lesser of two evils in this scenario for these immortal beings.
Man, spoken like a real Kingo.
It seems like, though, the heroic thing is that no one life is worth anything like losing at all. Right.
Yeah.
If our planet dies, then billions of planets live. But like our planet, but that's like what that's like what heroes tell us all the time. That's what we learn from comic books. That's what heroes do is they say, damn the future, damn the consequences. If one person has to die for this, it's not right. You know, we don't want to sacrifice anybody. We can't like give anybody. So like, and that's interesting. You're making it sound like, you know, there is this complicated battle, but at no point are we ever like, yeah, I think the Eternals are going to like let the Earth die.
Yeah.
Because they're heroes. They have to save us.
No.
Although I will say when I think it was the hand of Tiamat, the big Eternal at the end, starts coming through the ocean, it's like at that point, the Earth already exploded. There's absolutely no way the integrity of this planet, like the yolk, picture a hard-boiled egg. There's no way to get the yolk out of a hard-boiled egg without fucking up the egg.
Oh, that's funny.
So I have a question now about so then we got like a speech about the Unimind and how all the Eternals are like merging their powers. And they were saying that they have like cosmic force, like the Silver Surfer or something like that is just constantly keeping them young and happy. But when they put on the wristbands, they stop that and then they give their energy to whatever. So are they going to start aging now? I know they're not human, but is this a permanent thing? They make a point of saying like the thing that keeps us young, we turn that off and use the excess energy for this thing. Or was that a momentary thing?
God, I have no idea. I did not think that much about it.
Yeah, same. It's interesting you say that too, because I think the point they leave off with Sprite being a child. I was thinking the entire time, like, how the fuck are they going to do a sequel to this when they have a kid actor that they said is a kid actor or a kid all the time? So I thought her becoming human was a way to get around that aging. But if they're all going to age now, then it's like, shit, they could have just written that in that way.
Well, that's what makes me think that they're not going to age is by allowing Sprite to age as a human, that the rest of them are just going to be the same.
I'm also surprised that they didn't all want to be human. You'd think they'd at least one of them is married, has a kid. Why doesn't he want to just age with them? Why is he? I think when he made the joke, like it's too big of a commitment to give up immortality for somebody. It's like marriage is a commitment, but it's not a forever commitment for these guys. This is like a 50 years for this dude. You know, he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to. He can get sick of his husband, like, you know, and tough it out for 50 years and then just be done already.
Well, then he can watch his son grow up and die too. That'll be nice.
Yeah, his son and then his grandchildren, his great grandparents. It's pretty chill.
I prefer the Kumail track where you are your entire family's lineage.
That's so funny.
That was a great bit.
Dude, I want to Kumail saved this movie for me. Like I want to know what you guys think, because I think like the critics kind of were like panning this movie and like audience seems to like it. The first hour or whatever, I was kind of like, you know, it's okay. It's not really funny. It's not really fun. I'm enjoying it. Like I'm entertained, but I'm not having a great time. And then they just cut to Kumail and he is just crushing it. His whole movie star thing was so funny and he's just slinging jokes the whole time. I'm like, if he's not they needed him so bad in this movie in order for it to work for me personally. What do y'all think?
Well, you know, I was just going to say, I don't think we actually set up top. I'm so happy that all three of us liked this movie because it is getting shellacked. I was like, I don't know if going into it with really low expectations might have helped, but I didn't mind the first act either. I was having a good time. It felt very different for Marvel, but I was still there. And then, I'm not going to say there wasn't any slowdown. And there were some scenes that were like, you know, cuts that I didn't love and things that seemed like they really took a lot of time out of this. I was telling Tim afterwards, I feel like there's maybe like a 4-hour cut of this movie that is just like a beautiful masterpiece. And I feel like maybe they made Chloe cut it down to like 2 hours and 37 minutes or something. I'm there for it. I really enjoyed it. Tip to tail. I'm in on Eternals. Spence, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fully on board with Tim's assessment, being that the first half hour or 40 minutes was slow. I enjoyed it. I liked the intro. in the beginning where we get to see them like in their heyday fighting the deviants. Sorry, not the deviants. Wow.
Yeah, deviants, right?
Yeah, there were deviants. They were fighting deviants at the beginning.
Sorry. I was thinking variant and deviant. I'm just like, the MCU's got my head in a bind. Where they were like successful. They were like in their heyday successfully fighting the deviants and giving this a little backstory. I mean, the movie had a ton of exposition and some convenient plot devices for sure. But it was like we had to get the whole origin story of like, there's so many main characters in this film. And I think it did, in that sense, it did a good job of actually marrying like all of their stories together in this like story over, the story over time. But and you're right. Kumail is great. He was a great comic relief. His sidekick, I forget his name, but his producer was like the heart of gold of the movie. Like gave us some really wonderful moments. And I couldn't get beyond, I was blown away by the critics' response too, considering like how much we enjoyed the movie after the fact. It was like, the critics rated Black Widow higher than this movie. Like, how is that possible?
That's insane.
That's fucked up.
Speaking of Black Widow.
How is that possible?
Throwing this out there is, maybe this is part of my dilemma too, and why I was like so excited to see Kumail. Is Cersei like the least fun lead that we have in a Marvel movie? She's not making jokes. She's like compelling, but she is serious the whole time. And she's like an emotionally driving force. But I think that's very tonally different than like every other Marvel movie, right? Like Captain Marvel shows up. Brie Larson needs to be fun and like cool. And they're working hard to show that she's like a good hang. And Cersei, it's just she's
working very hard.
She's working real hard. They put a lot of work into making these people seem like, man, I could grab a beer with, Shang-Chi. And then Cersei, I'm like, I don't know if I really want to hang out with this person, but I'm really compelled by her character. I think maybe that's sort of like the disconnect for me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
her.
it's a new look. It's a new formula for. It's new. And that's what, like when I was looking at the critical reviews, some of them were like, it's a different Marvel movie. It's like, weren't you for the last 10 years asking for different Marvel movies?
Yes.
Like you were the critics were just like, we want something different. And now they get something different that's legitimately good, made by a solid filmmaker. And they're like, it is too different. And I don't even know. And usually I would end up siding with the critics more than I end up siding with the audience reviews in my own past experience. But I got to go with the audience on this one. It was so solid across the board. It earned its 2 hours and 37-minute runtime too, which is hard.
Spencer, famously anti-audience, pro-critic.
This is a better Chloe Zhao movie than Nomadland, that's for sure.
I got should we do some categories? I got a when did you know for you. Kevin, okay. When did you know that Kit Harington wasn't going to be in this movie?
Oh my God. Holy cow, dude. I mean, I think up until the very end, they kind of had me. Maybe going into like, I think, you know what the moment was? I think it was the moment where we saw Icarus fly off toward the volcano when the Domo is coming in toward the volcano and it's like setting up the final battle. And I was like, at this point, I don't think there's any rational way to introduce him back into the movie. You can't just have him fly in on the flying horse. You can't do any Black Knight shit with him. He's not going to be there as a civilian. What a bait and switch.
I don't recall him. I remember him being cast, but was it public that he was cast as the Black Knight before?
Yes.
So okay. So that was known information. People were expecting a Black Knight, a possible version of a Black Knight in this film, which they obviously did not fully give us. And to answer your question, as soon as they left London, I was like, now we're just traveling around the world. Where is Kit Harington going to come in here? He's just a regular spot.
He FaceTimes in for a second.
That's who he FaceTimes him.
And I was like, cool, maybe they're gonna bring him back. I was like, oh, he faced. I was like, like they're reminding us that Kit Harington is in this movie, and I was like, oh, cool, maybe we'll get some more. And it's like, no, that was it. You see him 3 times in this whole thing.
That's true.
This may be one thing where it's like when they do the reveal with him in the end, they do the reveal and it's like, you know, I found some weird things out about my family too. And in the post credit, we see the sword, and it's like,
gotta talk about that.
Yes, we have to talk about that.
Too jarring if you don't know anything about the character. I guess Spencer, you didn't know that he was going to be anybody, right?
I didn't. I definitely had maybe read that in the past and completely forgot about it, and also don't honestly know much about the Black Knight character. So I really just thought going in he was just a dude, which was honestly worked well for me for the experience of the movie, because then his post-credit reveal was exciting and like sort of end of the movie like bit was intriguing for me. But I also, so I don't know. But the moment where he faces off, like not faces off, but like they do that 2-shot where he and Richard Madden are facing each other and they introduce each other, and like that was a good theater moment. Like the audience gets a good chuckle out of that, because the Stark brothers staring at each other. That was a good play on like the history of 2 actors, which I enjoyed.
I loved it.
It was good stuff.
A good audience response too. Yeah.
Kevin, do you have a when did you know?
Oh, I sure do. This is for the room. When did you know that this is the most crying you have ever seen in a superhero movie? Everybody in this movie is crying, like kind of a lot.
Really? I didn't even notice.
Did you notice this?
No.
Dude, people are crying in this movie all over the place.
Yeah. The Sprite cries, Angelina Jolie cries. Cersei cries, Icarus cries.
Fastest cries. They all like, a lot of people have individual moments where they cry, but then also when Icarus like turns on people, they all kind of start tearing up and stuff. And like, I think it's a positive. I was thinking about it. I think it's good because it promotes emotional expression.
We're glossing over an even more important aspect of this movie: the first Marvel sex scene.
Oh yeah, a very abrupt sex scene.
A very abrupt and pretty nude. Like we had the arch of a Richard Madden butt.
Is that the first one? I guess it's got to be, right?
It's the first one in the MCU.
Tony Stark like rolled around with a girl. I don't think it was not the same thing.
Yeah, well, AC/DC was playing in the background. Like it wasn't.
You know, I thought this sex scene could have used some AC/DC.
Oh man.
No, I will give a nod to the intro song being Pink Floyd, and very well timed to the title sequence and the action of the film itself. Just as a side note, I heard that as soon as that, like, I was like, are they about to play a Pink Floyd song in this movie? Are we introing to Pink Floyd? I was like, oh, fuck yeah. That was a good sign.
Do you think that has any connection to Guardians of the Galaxy, or is that now just like a general Marvel thing? Because like James Gunn's kind of made that his like signature style is like he puts together a Spotify playlist that he rocks out to while he's making the movie, and then he throws all the songs in, you know, like Suicide Squad did the same thing. But like Guardians of the Galaxy is like iconic in that way. And I think it's kind of seeped into other Marvel stuff, but like this is in space. It clearly ends like it's in space. Like, are they trying to make that Guardians connection now?
I don't know. Endgame had it. Endgame had a song playing over the credits. The title card. What else did?
Endgame did?
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, it was Dear Mr. Fantasy by Traffic.
Yeah.
Another beautifully used title song. I mean, that was so cool. That was the first moment that I started tearing up in Endgame.
First of many. You thought the Eternals had a lot of crying. You should have seen Kevin at the Endgame premiere.
Oh my God. I was just dry as a bone by the end of that. I cried out everything that was within me.
So you got any big beefs with the movie, Spencer? What's your biggest beef?
What's my biggest beef with the movie? Oh, this is my biggest beef. We get the whole explanation from Arishem once he tells Cersei his whole grand design. And it's a lot of exposition, but it's appropriate for the moment. And I also side note, I really enjoy the Arishem scenes. And especially in the big screen where you get a sense of his physical scale. as a character, which was very cool. But so he describes the whole process to Cersei, where he created deviants and the Eternals and sends them to worlds so they can basically control the population of deviants, so deviants can control predators on planets to let intelligent life thrive long enough to a point where other Celestials can be born, obviously. And then the movie goes on, they stop Tiamat, the new Celestial, from being born, and then we get to the end, and then Arishem arrives and just yanks the Eternals from the planet like that. Like, okay, my big beef is if he can just show up and yank the Eternals from the planet with the snap of his finger, what's keeping him from doing that to the Deviants in the same way? Why would he even have to create the Eternals in the first place if he could just show up to all the planets when it's time to let humanity go on and just yank the Deviants out? So in my afterthought, I was like, that could have been a little more thought through. But maybe there are other devices. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Arishem being the creator of this entire scenario, where he is the father essentially of the Deviants and the Eternals, is kind of proves a little bit of a grind point when it comes to like plot points like that for me, where you're like, okay, he can do this, but he can't do that. So that was my beef at the end of the movie. I accept it, but I was like, okay.
The idea of like a cosmic entity who is basically a god creating life in galaxies, the idea that something can create life but can't take it away in like a specific instance, right? Like, why, you're right, why can't he stop the deviants? Well, there's no logical reason why he can't, other than like he's fucking with us.
I can spit into a pond, but I can't take the spit back out of the pond. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he drops it down, but he's able to grab them off the thing. I do want to point out, he grabs the Eternals, but he doesn't grab all of them. Like, half of them are on this spaceship. He only grabs the ones that are on Earth.
Well, he physically didn't go to the ship. He was physically at planet Earth.
So he's not like omnipresent. This is like an entity who like physically went to the planet, looked at the planet, pulled out the people he could see on the planet. The ones in the ship, he apparently has like no concept of, or maybe he chose not to deal with them. I mean, yeah. So that's interesting. That questions his omnipresence or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that question, that leads into the first post-credit scene as to why he doesn't go to the ship, because then our first guest star shows up to be like, hey, your friends are in trouble and I know where they are and I'm sexy. But yeah, that was my issue with it, I guess. What was your beef with that, Tim? Did you have any beefs?
I feel like I surprisingly don't have that many. I don't know, like that many beefs aren't like, I'm not saying this is a perfect movie, but there's nothing like blatantly obvious that I'm like, oh, this is a gigantic beef and like how they did this. I think maybe
how much exposition they had and to get forth.
I mean, my beef was kind of like, yeah, the exposition. I mean, the first hour of the movie is maybe my beef. Like we got like a scroll at the beginning of the movie, which I'm just like, it's always a bad sign. There's like never a need for it. That they have the scroll that explains what's happening. And then the first like half hour of the movie is like showing us the thing they just told us. So like, I was posing the question to Kevin, like afterwards, like, is this movie better if they're just like in chronological order? You know, up top, like the first half hour, they just like go through each, because the story progresses through time. So just like progress through time, make that the first 20 minutes of the movie, get to the present day, and then you can show the rest in like flashbacks and like highlight things that happen in that moment. But the first half hour or whatever feels like kind of confusing in that sense.
Or you could have had Ben Mendelsohn's character, the scroll, say it to us instead of having us read it.
Yeah.
Scrolls reading scrolls. I'm there for it.
Scrolls reading scrolls.
What was it? I mean, Kevin pointed out like Black Panther had a voiceover up top while they're like explaining stuff. So like, I think that's better.
Dad talking to his child. It was yes. Yeah. It was, what's his name? What's his, God. What's that actor's name? Oh my God, I'm totally blanking.
Who cares? It's a lot of exposition up top.
Sterling K. Brown,
yeah.
right?
Sterling K. Brown. Yes. Sterling K. Brown.
Kevin, you got a big beef?
Okay. I have a little beef and I have a big beef.
Uh-oh.
My little beef I want to pitch. I don't think Arishem should have spoken English. I think Arishem should have spoken like a made up, like an elf, like a god language. I think it would have sounded a lot more intimidating and like subtitles at the bottom telling us what he's saying. They can do that thing that Star Wars does where, one character is speaking their own language and then the protagonist is replying in English and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's like it takes a little bit of the mystique and the power out of a god for me to have it just speaking English. I know it was like Bill Skarsgård or somebody, right? But I don't know. I just think it would have had more.
Bill was the deviant.
Oh, he was the deviant. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
the one that's
yeah. Especially then in that case, I think it would have held more weight, those scenes. I don't know. I was taken out of it a little bit by the fact that this thing was speaking English, but that's a nitpick.
Okay. That's fair.
My big beef, where the fuck was Kingo? He doesn't come back? You're not going to show us Kingo coming back?
No, you're right. That's the biggest beef in this movie.
Where the fuck did he go?
That's fair. That's fair. Well, he did make that proclamation. Like he's like, I don't believe in doing this, but I would not hurt any of you to get, away from this. I mean, I'm paraphrasing badly, but he basically said that he would be a pacifist towards fighting his own family and then walked out with his sidekick.
I love that.
Return.
And I love that choice. I think it's a great choice. It's super cool. But then ultimately, the bad guys of the Eternals end up reconciling with the good guys. And there's this beautiful like family moment where everybody's on the same page. And the people and Kumail walks out because half the Eternals have gone bad. And then the bad guys turn good and Kumail's not there. So he just like opts out of this whole thing. It's weird. I don't know how you get him back there. It doesn't make any sense for him to show up.
I wouldn't even say Icarus turns good. I like it. Just I think that moment where he becomes part of is it the hive mind? What are we calling this? What is that?
Unimind, right?
The Unimind. It almost seems like he was not forced into it, but like he just became a part of it, whether or not he wanted to.
I disagree.
Really?
Well, because he gets there, he has a moment where he can kill Cersei and he realizes he can't. And that's his turn. The turn is like, I killed our mother figure, but I can't kill this woman, my wife, this woman that I'm in love with. I can't kill her, and I have to kill her in order to be a bad guy, and I can't do it.
I didn't kill my wife.
Icarus? We have Icarus on the podcast.
I definitely think I'm with Spencer. I think it was involuntary because he and Sprite weren't wearing the wristbands. Like the wristbands for the plan for how the Unimind would work. And then I had an issue with that. Like how the fuck did it work? And then she did explain after all that like they're connected to whatever celestial is being birthed in the planets. They were all connected through Tiamat. So I thought it was like an involuntary Tiamat connection.
Maybe they could. I feel like he could have resisted somehow, though. I think like, does their power need to be used at the same time? Maybe he could have used the power instead. I think at the end, we're supposed to believe that there is some part of him that is like consenting to be a part of this. I think that's why they're like redeemed at the end of the movie is like the bad guys have consented to save the planet for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. The family dynamic. I mean, people throw around like family as a dynamic between characters in a movie, but they really do feel like they've been together for a really fucking long time.
It does. And you don't like all of them and they don't all like each other, but they're all there for each other. It's very good.
But that's kind of why I like Kingo leaving, though, because it's like it's a different choice. Again, like we don't get the super happy pie in the sky ending that we all typically desire from films like this, but they're giving us more to look forward to, more to desire, and from a good story. We want to know where Kingo is and what he's doing and like what's going on. Like we want to see what happens to the new Eternals, not the new Eternals, but the Eternals that Arishem yanked away, and what happens with the others that are on the ship. Like we want to move forward with all that, and it's because they don't all end up like happy-go-lucky, like we won, we're all good family again. Everyone's like we killed two. That was I thought that was pretty ballsy too, to like kill two major characters in the film as well, like just off the bat. Like it's pretty wild. Oh, I have a small beef to add, by the way. Where it's revealed that the Eternals have been doing this for millions of years on different types of planets. and this goes back to Kevin's point about them speaking English, about Erisham speaking English, because obviously, like, there's thousands of language on this planet alone. I'm sure like other planets have different languages. And I imagine other planets don't all have humanoid intelligence. So have the Eternals looked like this for millions of years? Or is it every planet they go to, they assimilate the local like physical form of intelligent life?
I'd argue that most aliens in the Marvel universe are humanoid. They're like humans. They speak English. They've got feathers, or they've got ears or hair. Yeah. So, like, I think in real life, like, if there is extraterrestrial life, you're right. But in Marvel, I think they all kind of look like people. You know, they gotta sell action figures for these guys if they introduce them. You know.
Oh my god!
Yeah, no, you're right. Right. Yeah, that was a little bit of a side beef that I had.
Okay, we're getting near the end. Do we want to go around real quick and do thieves?
We have to talk about the post-credit scene.
Okay, we love the movie. That's our thief. The whole movie's our thief. Let's get into reckless speculation, talking about these post-credit scenes.
Real quick, before we move on, I want to give a thief shout out to Angelina Jolie. I did not think going into this that Angelina Jolie was going to be one of the highlights for me. I really love what they did with her character. The plot of her, what was it? Mind Weary? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I was like, when they started doing that, I was like, why are you doing this? This is going to be dumb. I don't think you're going to be able to pull it off. They fucking pulled it off and made it like a powerful thing about her character and like gave her the props. You tried to warn us. Amazing. She's so cool.
It also functioned as foreshadowing and like, it was great. She was amazing.
Yeah, and she's doing those physical movements with nothing in her hand whatsoever, like on camera. And she makes it look so good. Like,
yes, dude.
Just the way that she holds the spear and the sword and the shield, like her physical movements are pristine. And dude, she is doing that with air.
S tier. The like S tier of Marvel actors doing stuff with like CGI added later is like, I think Elizabeth Olsen still number one, probably Angelina Jolie under her, and then like Benedict Cumberbatch and Benedict Wong.
Yeah. Fair. Okay, so first post-credit scene. Let's get the less dramatic one out of the way. Where the Eternals realize that their friends have been missing from Earth, and then all of a sudden, through a fucking gateway, pops the fucking troll, voiced by a boisterous fucking Patton Oswalt, and then Eros steps through. That's the name. Is that his name?
Eros.
And then it's revealed to be
/ Star Fox.
Yeah, the brother of Thanos.
Yes,
and turns out to be Harry Styles, and which was a spectacular reveal in the movie theater. But Tim, you know more about the character than the rest of us.
Well, I think Kevin pointed out that this guy he's a brother of Thanos. Thanos is a eternal / deviant like hybrid, I guess. I saw like a couple different things online about like he is either part deviant, part eternal, or he is an eternal infected with like a deviant virus. So that's why he looks different than all these other guys. But you know, Star Fox is his brother, who is kind of a creep. He has this weird like estrogen or like a pheromone thing that he excretes that attracts people to him. I mean, Harry Styles, it's honestly like pitch perfect casting to have Harry Styles play this like sexual being who is very strong, like eternal tier strong, not like Thanos level strong. But I mean, he's super interesting. I'm excited to see more of it.
Dude, in a world where David Bowie is not available, Harry Styles is perfect.
That's very true.
It's absolutely perfect. True. We're right on the end here. I want to talk about the reveal of Kit Harington reaching for a sword. A voice comes out of nowhere saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And Spencer in the theater lost his shit, tells everyone around us, "It's the Watcher, bro. It's the Watcher. It's the dude from What Ifs. What Ifs is finally paying off. It's the Watcher." Later, Kevin sends us an article from the internet. It's confirmed it's not the Watcher. It's someone I think is way better. Mahershala Ali as fucking Blade is telling the Black Knight not to grab the sword. Incredible. incredible.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that in the moment. So cool.
No, you did. First of all, you were the one, like, as soon as it happened, you were the one that whispered, "Was that Blade?" And I am in full confidence, like, "The Watcher!" And then the kids sitting in front of us turn around like, "What? Did you say The Watcher?" I was like, "Yeah, I know that voice. I know that fucking voice when I hear it."
I worked with him on a
Jeffrey
shoot
Wright.
one time. We're best friends. I'm friends with his kids. We go watch
There was
tennis
like
together.
Oh my God.
I was so confident. I heard what I wanted to hear.
There's like a 7-person radius that you convinced it was Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah. I think I convinced everyone in that corner of the theater it was The Watcher. And they're all probably like telling their friends, and then they're gonna get a fucking article and they're gonna be like, "That stupid son of a bitch."
Dude, everybody was staring at you in awe because you were saying it was The Watcher, and we all probably missed on the screen Blade will return.
I probably just said Blade. Everyone was too busy staring at Spencer to see Mahershala Ali's like name in the credits.
Listen, I got so excited. I don't know what to say.
I mean, it was super exciting, but God, Blade. I mean, I'm down if if Black Knight just wants to be in a Blade movie. Like, they got to do something different, you know?
That's probably what it's going to be, because there's no Black Knight movie. There is a Blade movie in the works.
Yeah. I don't know how he gets sidetracked from rescuing the love of his life with vampires, but we'll see.
I don't know how the Black Knight can go into space through a black hole that he didn't create. Arishem just escaped through his own black hole back to wherever the fuck he was hanging out before.
I think they're doing like a Midnight Suns setup with Moon Knight, Blade, Black Knight. That'd be cool as hell. Look at that cast, man.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Oh
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but that's our podcast, people. We're right up on it. Spencer, thanks for joining us, bro.
Oh, of course, anytime. I can't wait for Spider-Man. We're doing that for sure.
Spider-Man's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. Keep dreaming about it. And audience at home listening or in the car listening, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Give us a rate and review, and stay nerdy, friends. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.